Alright, so this is my review for the Pryde of the X-Men pilot, which I watched here on YouTube. Prior to doing this review, I had never seen this before. And I have to say I'm actually pretty impressed with it. I was surprised that I would be. Apparently it missed a lot of notes and fans reacted badly to it, and it's not exactly... It's certainly not a terrible episode, and it's nowhere near like the type of bad that Batman and Robin movie was, where it eventually was so bad that it wound up giving birth to Batman Begins. But it didn't really achieve the type of popularity that they were wanting, and maybe that's good because it gave us that superior 90s series, but this is still not bad. It's the first attempt to actually adapt most of the X-Men onto the television series, and some of the designs for the characters kind of spin out of the couple of episodes that all the X-Men characters made in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. This is also the one that kind of started the trope, or at least for the pilot of the 90s series and the first X-Men movie, of having a young girl come in and, you know, be sort of an outsider's perspective and learning how the X-Men tick. Which, that's fine. It's a halfway decent story, and it doesn't follow the comic, but it pretty much tells how Kitty Pryde got wound up into the group. Let's see. If you sit down and watch the live-action X-Men movie, and then you sit down and watch this, I'm surprised at how many types of scenes and ideas made it into this movie, because it seems now after watching this that so much of the first X-Men movie, like not all of it, but certain aspects of it were inspired so much by this movie. Ignoring the fact that the horrible Wolverine voice is Australian, ironically, Hugh Jackman, an Australian man himself, wound up playing Wolverine in the X-Men. But I think probably the biggest inspiration to me came from that machine that Magneto was sitting on. Now, there were a couple of instances in the comics that I do recall, at least from reading some of the 60s stuff, to where he had that machine that he was standing on that would amplify his powers in some way, which was kind of good. Let me get back into... I'm not really going to focus too much on the casting, but I will say Earl Bone, who did Dr. Silverman in the Terminator movies, voices Magneto in this. And apart from Kat Susi, he's the only voice I can pick out. Kat Susi has her trademark little girl voice, but Earl Bone has got like this really over-the-top, menacing type of voice to him. Is like he's like really scary in this, and I think after having watched this, he's probably the best Magneto voice I've heard in animation. I kind of would have wished that they had put him... the one from the 90s series was fine, but I feel that Earl's performance in this is so much superior now after having heard this. As far as the rest of the characters go, Nightcrawler and Colossus get equal amounts of screen time with the rest of the X-Men. If you want the best representation of Colossus, I think you're probably going to find it here in, or at least as far as his portrayal in animation goes. His voice is alright. Storm is okay. Nightcrawler's okay. Psyche, Professor X, and all the members of the Brotherhood are okay. I really hate the Wolverine voice, and thank God that's one trope from the show that didn't make it into the 90s series. I understand Wolverine sometimes will growl before he speaks, but this one is just totally hammy. Because, like, he sits there and is like, alright, mate, let's go out there and get these scoundrels and stop them. Or when he's talking to Kitty, I don't want no blooming kids on this team. We're the X-Men, not the X-Kids. And that just really makes my hair stand on end, just hearing that voice. Dazzler was put into this. She's probably the most downplayed of the characters in here. Storm is the next most downplayed, but Dazzler is the most downplayed in this one. She's alright. If the series had been able to take off, I kind of would have liked to have seen what they would have done with her. The Brotherhood. They do make the reference to K. Marco being Xavier's stepbrother. Don't really say if he's a mutant or if he's a human. But, you know, you could have imagined, you know, he had the gem of Sidorak, and Magneto will come across him, see his powers, and have no idea that the powers are mystical and not mutant. Toe, Blob, and Pyro were pretty much alright. They're not really anything I haven't seen before. The White Queen is okay. I was surprised that they stuck Emma Frost onto the group. But she did demonstrate one ability that I liked, which is that she has the ability to take her mental powers into a spear of light and throw them at people, which is kind of pretty cool, actually. The overall story itself about Magneto drawing the comet with his powers towards Earth to destroy it was pretty interesting. It's a little over the top in the 80s type of fashion, but it's still pretty good. And, you know, even the character art for Kitty Pryde and the little may not have been death scene for Nightcrawler was pretty good as well. I will say, though, Lockheed in this, the little purple dragon, completely downplayed, but it's kind of nice to see him in animation, and the way Kitty picks him up. They don't really trope on being friends just yet, but it's kind of cool. That's the thing about the 80s cartoons. They don't really provide an explanation for a lot of things. Like, I'm wondering why Magneto exactly has a small purple alien dragon on a ship who really serves no purpose. Basically, he just likes to kick it around because he's cruel. And Earl Bones' voice isn't enough. He needs to be a cruel to little animals type of guy to be a really cool villain. But, you know, stuff like that is cool. Overall, the pilot itself was not bad. It didn't really take off that well, but you know, we did. Its unsuccessfulness did give us birth to the '90s animated series, and I'd say actually go and watch this on YouTube. It's good for what it is, and that's really all I have to say about it. And join me next time when I take on talking about the '90s series.